Hello, hello. I know we've been kind of absent from our conversations. We were on a road trip, and then Mark had a couple webinars that he needed to do, and so we have not been here in about a week. And then so we'll be here. Oh my gosh, hold on. That's my guy, our guest who's having technical difficulties. Yes?
Yeah. Here, I'll let you talk to Mono. Could you please send me a link to AMADO?
I texted it to... Yeah, he has it. Sorry. Technical difficulties. This is what happens. This is what happens when you're old school and you don't do a lot of technology. Then you have trouble. So anyway, our guest is getting help getting on our talk here. So we are gonna, and of course, Mark Music, as usual, is late to the Mark and Yolanda conversations. So if anybody has any questions or anything they would like to ask me or talk about, we can talk about. Like I said, we were on a road trip. We've been absent from our conversations, but we did do some live videos where we were at because we wanted to share where we were at, and we also wanted to share places that we want to do some events at when we can do them. So it was kind of fun to go and see places, our favorite places, because whenever we go on a road trip, we always tend to stop at, we try to find what's in the area, and then we go and visit, kind of like a tourist, but we kind of look for new things. But in Sedona, we do have some favorite places that we like to go to, but that happens in all. I hear him. Because of course he has to make his grand entrance. Hey Troy, hey Jeff. The crazy man is here. And I think our guest is finally getting up to date and not being old school and learning new technology.
Did you introduce him yet?
No, I haven't introduced him yet.
Give me an intro for you.
I'm already here. We've already been chatting. You can intro yourself and sit down because you're late.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Studio 53. You've got Yolanda in black, in white, in a dress, and she is dressed to kill because every time I look at her, I just die with love.
Every time I
give it up.
It's
70th birthday for Terry Stokes. Yours truly, get up for Yolanda Martinez, Valencia, use it.
Yeah, every time I look at him, I'm dressed to kill because I want to kill him because he's late to our talks. Number one. Number two, he comes in late and he wants an intro. He doesn't need an intro. Just sit down. Sit your butt down.
And from stage right.
We don't have a stage.
They don't know that.
Yes, they do. They know that you...
Do me an intro. Do me an intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, the crazy man. The man who obviously always needs a huge introduction.
Do my Hulk Hogan.
No, he doesn't need it.
Do my Hulk Hogan.
What are you talking about, Hulk Hogan?
I look like Hulk Hogan. Go.
Okay, he thinks he looks like Hulk Hogan, but only from here. The rest, no. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Studio 53. Mark Music. Oh my God.
Hey, sports fans!
Hey, why did they log out? Why did they?
Oh, got my hair done yesterday. In the cowboy hat, don't I? Oh my goodness gracious, what's happening?
Anyway, that's what you get. He shows up late and then he has to give you that visual for your afternoon. Anyway, Today we have a special guest who we met, I don't know, a few years ago through Tyson. Sit down.
I want to introduce him.
No, you sit. Okay, introduce him. We'll sit down and introduce him.
I want it more dramatic.
Oh my goodness. They don't need drama.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are not going to believe this. He is here in America. He came in, flown in privately all the way from Indonesia. He was wrestling over there. He is from WrestleMania number 4. You probably, huh?
He wasn't wrestling anymore.
Well, they don't know that.
Oh my God, you're a
He was one of the greatest wrestlers in high school. He was the state championship. He has turned his life into a beautiful painting, a picture of this. Give it up for Chris.
This is from Mark.
Check that bad boy out, huh?
This is from Indonesia.
Man.
I thought Mark would like that.
I don't know who's worse.
Oh, you get the two of us together, it's real trouble.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Well, I love your studio.
You said one thing, you introduced me. You know, I'm so glad Tyson introduced us way back when. And you guys found out I painted his dog.
It was not Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, a professional boxer we're friends with, and Chris is friends with.
Don't listen to him.
What do you mean?
I don't know what he's been smoking or drinking or eating. I don't know.
What did Tyson do?
Tyson, the hypnotist from Canada.
Oh.
Yes.
He introduced us. Actually, how we met, how we got to meet Chris was Tyson had posted a painting.
A nude painting
that you
of himself.
did. No, I don't think Chris wants to see anybody nude to paint.
Never done one.
Unless it's a female.
Just reading the notes.
Tyson posted a picture, a portrait of his 2 dogs that you had painted for him.
His girlfriends.
And he mentioned your name, and I was like, oh my God, I got to meet him because he's got to paint my 2 dogs. I did a portrait of my 2 dogs, and sure enough, I got a hold of Chris, and he did do a painting of Bentley and Molly.
And then Julie's dogs.
And then we had
a surprise.
And then our friend Julie and Michael Nitty, they had lost one of their dogs, like I have. We had lost one of our dogs, Molly. And so for Christmas, we gifted them a painting of their 2 dogs, which was Haley and Paris, and Haley had passed away. And so we had Chris do the painting for them, and we surprised them for Christmas with it. And of course there was tears, and then when I got my painting, there was more tears. So he does amazing work. And I was reading, his website about all his travels, and he has been everywhere.
Tyson or Chris?
No, Chris.
Yeah,
He's been around.
I've got the notes. I got
my printer, and he's painted every exotic animal you can think of.
He says here he's been to Africa 16 times, and he's painted 3 giraffes, 4 rhinoceroses, 3 iguanas, and an elephant.
You're making that up. I don't think he's kept track of like how many iguanas he painted or how many elephants.
You have a checklist.
So tell us how you got started.
But I always got encouraged all the way from the time I was a little kid. My schools, my teachers recognized it right away. My family really didn't. They were more interested in my wrestling. My 3 older brothers were great wrestlers, and I have no complaints about that. It was quite a journey doing that. But the great thing about wrestling, I won't go into it, was it taught me goals and discipline, which a lot of artists don't have. I'm a very hard worker. So, but by the time I got to high school, everybody was talking about I'm doing the megaphone for the cheerleaders and their megaphones and doing all the murals around the school. Some of them are still there to this day. I'll go back and see them every once in a while, my old high school, 40 years later, So that's kind of fun. But I never dreamed I'd be an artist. And then I graduated from high school and I was thinking I'd make, have a wrestling career. And I busted up my knee and it ended my wrestling career. And drew, and I got accepted in the biggest show in the United States at the time at 19 years old, the Laguna Festival of the Arts in Laguna Beach. At that time, that was the biggest show to be in. I was the youngest at the time. And my career took off right then. I didn't go to school or anything. I always had that gift of drawing. And the story goes, you talk about travels. My parents never took us on a vacation. They were 5 great kids. And we were bellmen back in Anaheim. I was born in Anaheim by Disneyland. And we checked in people from all over the place. And I checked in a lot of Canadians. They were very much into Disneyland, Chinook tours. And 2 of my buddies, we decided we want to drive up to Canada. I've never been anywhere. I was 18 years old, and we drove up to Canada and Vancouver and Banff and Jasper and Lake Louise. We saw in 1978, 79, it was right around then, the bald eagle was extinct in California. There were none left. They weren't there traveling. Now we have tons of them all over. It was quite a success story how they came back, but there were none extinct. So we get over there, Mark, and we're jumping up for joy, seeing them, and they see them like seagulls over there.
Oh, wow.
They thought we were some weirdos because we're jumping up so excited about seeing a bald eagle, because they're way up in the tree. We're seeing them up there going crazy. And then the scenery in Canada. So when I got back, I started drawing animals. It changed my whole life.
Really?
And the great thing was we stopped on the way up there in Oregon. And here I've never been outside California. And we stopped in, my aunt and uncles own a zoo to this day. My cousin runs it now in Bandon, Oregon, where the famous golf course is, right there on the ocean down there. They own a zoo and they're very, very famous. And it's hands-on. So you can go there and actually hold the baby tiger or lion.
Oh, wow.
And we stopped there on this same trip. And here I wasn't drawing animals. That wasn't in my foresight. And we got to hold all that stuff. And I was trying to be, we're cool guys. We just graduated from high school, everything else. I asked Raul and Bob, I go, do you mind if we stop my aunt and uncles for, an hour? I don't get to see my mom's sister and everything else. We ended up staying there like 5 hours playing with all these animals. On the way, we were gone a whole month. We went backpacking all over Oregon, Canada, Washington, the whole bit. On the way back, Raul and Bob asked me if we could stop at my aunt and uncle's. I looked at them and said, because they got to hold the baby tiger and the baby lion and all this kind of stuff, So it was, and that changed my whole life. I mean, as you guys know, I've gone all over the world studying animals, and the hands-on, and I don't recommend it to people all the time because you never know what can happen. But I've been with so many big cats in my lifetime, tigers, leopards, and cheetahs, you name it, and I've been with it, And fortunately, I've never had a bad incident happen, so I'm very lucky that way. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you sent us a book here. I'm supposed to start reading. Is this?
No.
There we go. I'm ready for you, Mark.
I printed it so that we could get some ideas for questions. But you had an incident where you had an accident with your hand.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I'm Mark. Yolanda, I'm a miracle kid. I should have died that night. I was adjusting the lights above my art desk, getting ready for a show in my studio. And I did it every year. The San Diego Zoo would bring animals to my place, and I had it all catered. And I do this once a year. And I was getting ready for it. And that night, I was adjusting the lights above my art desk on a stool, and I fell off and put my hand right through a glass table and cut my hand right to the bone. I went through half of my blood in 20 minutes. They say at the hospital another 10 minutes I wouldn't have been alive. You can't live on the of your blood. So I was real fortunate. And doing grippers my whole life since I'm a wrestler, that's what really did a number. I grabbed onto my wrist because it cut it right to the bone at my wrist. And it and the thing was, it took 2 doctors 8 hours. It happened at 10 o'clock at night. It took 2 doctors 8 hours to put this hand back together. They said they've never seen such a bad injury in their life. And South Coast Medical in Laguna Beach did it. Overlooking, what a beautiful hospital overlooking the ocean down there in Laguna. And My doctors came in my room the next morning and they said, Chris, you're probably never going to paint again. There have been so many write-ups of what I did and everything else, because it really was 6 months later, I was painting as good as ever.
Wow.
And I'd never paint again. My therapist said she's never seen somebody so dedicated and go through pain and everything else. And able to get it back, I knew the scar tissue, that I didn't want it to harden. So, I mean, I was, biting my tongue while she's working on my hand, getting the scar tissue out. And I went through a week. So the end result is I got my hand back. It doesn't do a whole lot. It's deformed and everything else. But I trained it into
A brush.
the paint.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really lucky that way.
You're right-handed?
Yes. And yes, I tried, Mark, trying to do it left. It just didn't happen.
You were standing on a stool and fell off the stool.
Yes. Yep. Put it in my art. Right.
Your stool is a place you sit on, not stand on.
Very
Yes.
much.
You make a note of that.
You watch your stool.
You watch your schools.
Because everybody does it. And I was the one that had the misfortune to fall off it. This is the actual table that I actually did that with.
Wow.
Now it's got safety glass. So if that happened now, I wouldn't cut it, but it was regular glass.
You can sell samples and say, this is my stool sample.
Exactly. It's like, So I'm very thankful.
Would you like to have a stool sample?
I don't
Yeah.
think you want the school sample of anybody.
No.
You're currently married. I hear you have 3 wives and you live with 3 wives or not.
Yeah.
Don't be looking at stuff.
Well, this one here is a beauty. I can't tell if that's a male or a female. That thing with the stick in his nose.
Oh, he's looking at the picture on your website.
No, that's what's amazing. We'll talk about a few of those things, but I was fortunate to go over to Papua New Guinea, and they're still to this day have cannibals over there that they actually eat humans and everything else.
Oh, really?
And yes.
Oh, wow.
And here's what I want to show Mark a couple things when he comes back, but I actually have one of the weapons here and, the whole bit. And it was mind-boggling because I was with people that actually have eaten humans,
Wow.
To crack up, they would say they were looking at you like, boy, you were dinner.
They were like, oh, you're kind of chunky. You got some good meat on you,
exactly. Yeah, it was.
You still do the art show in Long Beach. Laguna, right?
Yes, yeah, the Sawdust Festival. You came by and saw me one year.
Yeah, we did. It was very
It was
nice.
so nice. You were doing the fair at the time.
Yes, we were. Unfortunately, we're not there this year.
Very much so. I miss it.
We're missing, being out there and seeing everybody. But, we got to stay safe and be home.
Right.
But so you've been keeping busy.
Yeah, and even more so, I figured I might as well get new paintings done and everything else. So when this thing does turn around, I'll be ready for, doing all the shows and everything. So, and a lot of my art friends are doing the same thing,
Yeah.
So this is time to, buckle down and get new paintings done and everything else. So, because most of my life, I was really smart almost 40 years ago when I started doing this. For some dang reason, I'm different from most artists. I started doing commission work. So very rarely do I do a painting for the heck of it. I have to come out and say, we want a zebra painting. I had a guy call me yesterday. I'm doing a giraffe painting. Right now I'm working on it.
Giraffe, I love giraffes. That's my favorite animal.
Here, I'll show you real quick. This is one I'm working on right now. It's a baby giraffe. So I'm just in the early stages of it.
Look at that. Oh yeah, I can see the face right there.
Yeah, and its mom's in the background, just its body. So it's, the face is just gonna pop. The background is soft. So that's my background, is his body. You don't see anything.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you do some, and then you've got some other ones behind you there. The dogs.
Yes.
They're awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm known for. I mean, I was known for my wildlife forever, but now I've gotten so recognized because I capture their personality. And I've done so many lectures in my life, and I always tell this, especially I've had up to 200 artists come hear me speak.
Yeah.
And what I've done in my career, they're very fascinated. And I always tell them, my idol should be Picasso or Dali or Van Gogh. And actually my idol is Norman Rockwell. And the way he could capture personality and everything, I've applied that to my paintings. I can do that even with a giraffe or a zebra. When I get done with this baby, he'll have such personality, you know, and they do.
See when it's finished.
Yeah.
You do capture that essence of the dog, because you did our dogs. You know, Bentley is the serious one, and you did capture that personality quite well in his painting. And you know, Molly was the happy-go-lucky dog, and you captured that amazingly. But you've done commissions for famous people.
Yeah, and you know, and that's, you know, it's great. I mean, and you know, my greatest one, and I brag about it because what a thrill! I was born in Anaheim. I get this phone call one day. I just got done doing the Beverly Hills Dog Show, which they don't even do anymore. It was one of the top. There were 3 of them that were well known. The one in London, the one in San Francisco, and the one in Beverly Hills. And I was one of the vendors at the Beverly Hills, and supposedly she walked by my booth, and I get this phone call from one of her people that took care of her. And I went through 3 phone calls before I found out who it was. And I swear I almost dropped the phone while I'm talking to her. And because I didn't talk to her directly on the phone, I talked to her people. And it was Mrs. Disney, and she was 90. I think she was 92 years old or 93 years old.
Wow.
And I went to the home that they built. Walt built that, and it had the train tracks in the backyard that he used to drive the kids around, and in Humvee Hills, it's famous. And so I'm back there, and Walt was my other idol, and I'm telling Mrs. Disney, I go, I have to tell you something. I've done lectures, and I talk about my favorite artists. I said my 2 favorite artists are your husband, and she just glowed. And what we did, even though he wasn't the drawer, he was the creator. And in my eyes, as an artist, art is about creating, and Walt was mind that went into, you know, other artists do it, but he was the creator of all these great movies and everything he did. So I'm just, and he brought, my art is about bringing joy to people. For 40 years, I had smiles and people crying and everything else. And I'll tell you one of the great celebrity stories I did. But so I'm at her house, and I can't even believe it. They said, oh, you'll get, like, she's 93 years old. I think she lived to be 96. And they said, you'll probably get 10, 15 minutes with her. I spent an hour talking to her. She didn't want me to leave. We had such a wonderful time. I told her how I was born in Anaheim when it was orange groves, and we had a blast together. But I told her about Walt Disney, and I said, well, my other idol is Norman Rockwell. And she looked at me with a big smile, and she goes, well, listen how she said it. Remember, it's Norman Rockwell. She looked at me and said, Norm and Walt. Norm, not Norman. Norm and Walt were best friends. And I almost,
wow.
And I'm trying to keep my composure around her. Here, this woman, friends, you name it. And they, you know, they've been with Disney's. And I said, they bring so much joy to people. And here I find that out. And I just went, oh my goodness. So when I finished the painting of Sonny, their chow, and she told me they always had chows their whole life, is that when I finished it, they put it next to the Norman Rockwell piece. He did the 2 daughters, Norman Rockwell, girls for the Disney family. He did a painting of the 2 girls. I was so thrilled that I got to do that with Mrs. Disney. So, but you know, you talk about crying, and I'll tell you one more, and then that's it. But I get through friends from Newport Beach. They ended up moving out towards some Santa Barbara area out there, Solvang. Unbelievable house. He owned the big dealership in Newport Beach, the Mercedes, I think it was. And Chris and Bobby Gregg, great people, unbelievable. And I've done a number of paintings, and she was a great artist. And here she had me commission, which I've done a number of times, where these great artists, I ask them, I go, how come you're not painting? Because we can't paint like you do, capture that. Everything that you do. So they had friends over for dinner one night, and they moved to Solvang, and their friends were Cheryl Ladd from Charlie's Angels.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and she commented her husband was really smart, like yours is, and Mark, and he paid attention to her, and she went by this painting, and she said, I really like that painting of her, Chris and Bobby Gregg's dogs. And when she walked away, Cheryl's husband says, I'm gonna get in touch with you. I want to know who this artist is. And her husband ended calling me the next day and saying, my wife's birthday is in about 3 weeks. Can you get this painting done for us in time?
Wow.
I would love to. So I drove all the way out there. He paid me exceptionally well for coming out there. Really appreciated that I did that, because that's quite a drive. At the time I was living in Dana Point, so I drive all the way out to Solvang and back the same day. I finished the painting and in 2 weeks, Mark, and I drive it back out there. And she's not there, of course, and it's all wrapped and ready to go. He told me, I sent him pictures. He couldn't wait a week. That night, I get back home that night. He's not supposed to give it to her for a week. He went nuts over it, and he had to give it to her. I get this call at night, and I'm in my studio painting already. I drove all the way up to there. I left at 3 a.m. or something like that, and got up there, and so someone was crying on the phone at 10 o'clock at night. I answered the phone. She goes, "Is this Chris White?" And I go, "Yes, it is." She goes, "This is Cheryl Ladd." And you know my personality, I don't act cool or anything like that. I go, "Cheryl, how you doing?" We had a plan. She goes, "I can't believe this painting is all." And it really was. I get this a lot, even like you guys did. And it means so much to me to have that reaction almost every single time I do a painting. Is the greatest thing in the world. To put a smile like you guys do with your show. I mean, I've been to so many of your shows. The stuff you guys do, I hear you always admire, but I admire what you do. Life is about putting enjoyment. I was on your wife about that, how lucky she is, and vice versa, how lucky you are to have her. But you make people smile, Mark, so much. It's unbelievable. And so does your wife there, too. And I really
They come to see her. They just tolerate me.
Huh?
You're the one doing the show. I don't do anything.
Just don't chop down that palm tree.
That's right. Don't cut down my palm tree. I'm going to be a tree hugger if you try to cut down my palm tree.
Yeah. So
What's your favorite?
Go ahead.
What's your favorite location that you've been to where you've gotten inspired for some of your wildlife?
Well, of course, Africa is. And I went there the next year after Canada, and I moved out when I was 18. So I tell people, if I lived at home here, we'd never gone anywhere. Imagine being home. My dad here on the baby of the brothers, my dad would have said, "Absolutely, you're not going to Africa." And over there, and I was fortunate, you guys, that I got to see the world back when it was primitive. It's all gone now. Yeah. So
really,
we're running around, hardly any clothes on and all that kind of stuff. Same thing in the Amazons. I got to see the real. They're all gone. You have to go so far back in there. There's so few left. It's unbelievable back in the Amazons now. In Africa, it's totally, there aren't any real tribes. Though the Maasai will dress like they do, and they do on a regular basis. I mean, they don't wear regular clothes, but it's not the original where they're going out and hunting lions. I actually, in 1979, saw a tribe going to fight another tribe. That's gone. They were carrying spears with shields, and they were running in a row, and we were about we wouldn't get any closer, 2 football fields away from them, and watch them run around along the horizon. Unbelievable. So yeah. Yes, I do.
They had cell phones back then. That camera.
They look like little pin drops back, running around. That's a funny story. It's one of my trips over to Africa. My brother got all excited when I took my brother over, one of my older brothers. And he got so excited the first giraffes we saw, and they were probably a football field away, and he's snapping away. Well, when you get those pictures back, he had a Canon AE-1,
Yeah.
You get the pictures back, there's a little pin drop. So you say, relax, Bill. We're going to end up driving right up to him. Before you know it, we're like 5 feet away from him. He's flipping out, And I always used to tell people, be patient, because you're going to end up being right there with them,
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when I went back in the good old days, you could drive up to them. And I get why they don't let people do it anymore. In fact, I won't go back because I was so spoiled. Now you have to stay on the road. So if you spot a rhino 100 yards away, in my days, you could drive right up to them. And I get why they do it. I was very, very fortunate, to get to do that. So,
Well, that's one of the.
Mark, I saved this for you.
That's one of the places I want to go is Africa.
And I highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's on my bucket list for, I want to go on an African safari, and, you know, I want to get on one of those Jeeps and be out there with the wildlife and check everything out.
Because you're standing on top of the Jeep, and the roof popped open or whatever, and the lion below you, you know, or your windows rolled down and you're photographing it right there, you know, just unbelievable.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
You know, so, but I got to tell you, Mark, I brought this for you, a couple things I want to share with you. This is a weapon from Papua New Guinea, and I knew you'd get a kick out of it. That's as permanent. That's as permanent. I knew you'd get a kick out of that one. And when it hits you in the head, it hurts. It's thrown out of. And you talk about serious, you know, they're cannibals over there. They are so serious. When we got there, they said if a tribe breaks up with another tribe, you get out of there because they don't know any different. And there were 30 of us there probably, and it was a sing-sing. And National Geographic was there, Discovery Channel was there, and there was a group of 7 of us, and then everybody else was in that kind of business thing. So what a thrill it was to see this sing-sing, because there was literally 500, you know, tribes, peoples there. And what was bizarre is they all stayed in their own groups. And this piece is, Mark, this is another one here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is.
Is that a mask?
That's a mask from New Guinea.
Oh, wow.
My buddy shipped it back for me. He's a doctor, and he gave me that because I went with him, and we became really good friends. He's a diver, and they were over there to dive, and I met up with them over there. So, because I didn't want to dive on that. It was short notice. I went over there. This is, Mark, this is the necklaces they wear. And they use everything, their seashells, and probably some kind of monkey, I think, or something. I'm not sure where these teeth came from over in New Guinea.
Oh, those are teeth, not seashells?
No, this is seashells here.
Okay.
The way they did, I mean, it's common. They got the bones going through their noses, and I mean, it's just the last primitive place left in the world. It's still very dangerous to go over there. You know, when you those jungles, because they don't want you there. You know, we were so thrilled because they do put this on, and we had guards with us and everything else, and I got to photograph all these different tribes, and it was just something I would have never gone there, but I saw what happened in the Amazons, and I hate to say maybe in 40 years or 30 years that won't even exist the way, you know, and otherwise I would have left them alone. But now I documented all that, so I'm so thrilled that I got to do that. And then this one's from the Amazons, and they did the same thing with the seashells, and I picked this up in the Amazons.
What is that?
Oh, it's got a skull.
Is that a little monkey skull?
That's a little baby alligator, anaconda.
Oh, alligator, a gator or a crocodile?
I think that these are crocs.
Okay.
Crocs.
There's a difference.
Seashells.
Yeah, I know there is. Yeah. So, and then this is the last thing I'll show you here. This is, This is milk from Africa that they store the milk.
Oh.
The goat's milk.
Yeah, and it actually had leopard on it. This is way back when. You can't bring any of that back. But it's got leopard print, and it was from a tribe back there in Kenya back when.
That's cool. That's cool stuff.
Oh, I got so much, you know, and Mark, you know, my last trip there, I went with a good friend of mine, Drew Zager. The funniest guy, you would love this guy. And I'm so proud of Drew, what he's done in his life. Here we grew up in Anaheim, and his mansion's a few doors down from the Playboy Mansion now. And he's so well known, one of my 5 best friends. And Drew, we went and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, the 2 of us.
Did you really?
It's really, really sharp. And we went into this tribe, and I got smart. You can't do it. This is pre 9/11. I went to Costco.
Yeah.
Price Club or whatever, and I bought 50 lighters. You think about it, they rub 2 sticks together.
Yeah, I never could figure out why they would get a lighter. I always wondered about that.
They live in the jungle.
It's so much easier to get a lighter.
So I bring all these lighters, and I just thought of it one day. I went, instead of bringing Frisbees or paper and pencils, which everybody brought to them and everything else, I thought, you know, I'll bring these lighters. They couldn't believe I gave this chief like 5 of them. He invited us into his hut, and he had all his tribes, and the homes are made out of cow manure and the whole bit. It's mind-boggling. And we're in his and he offered us the goat and blood, milk, and all that stuff. He said, no. So he learned to speak a little bit of broken. Nobody else in the tribe could speak English. He learned to speak a little bit of broken English. And Drew asked him, he goes, how do you like your wives? He had like 25 wives or something like that. And he had like 40 kids or some ridiculous number of kids. And he goes, I like my wives. I don't like all my kids. 40 kids. We just lost it. We laughed so much when he said that. Try to take care of 40 kids.
Yeah,
it was.
That's quite a handful there.
Yeah. But yeah. Got another one. I actually got. Hey, there's the.
So, you've also done sea life, right?
Yeah.
Bentley. Jesus. You can always tell somebody's here when Bentley barks because if he doesn't like the person, he doesn't stop barking. You have to let him know that he's here. But you also paint sea life.
Yeah, Wyland's a great friend of mine.
Wildlife and dogs and that's it.
Yeah. I've done some. I try to avoid it because Wyland's a good friend of mine, and he's probably the most famous artist. I mean, we're great. We grew up together down in Laguna. We both got around 18, 19 years old. He was that age right about then when he got there. He moved from Chicago to there, and we became great friends. And so I kind of avoided painting whales and I've done it. People would come in, but I don't advertise it and all that kind of stuff. I do that kind of stuff. And when I do it, I enjoy it because I don't do it that often. So
you're more well known for your wildlife, the elephants, the rhinos, and the giraffes. Yeah.
And I was lucky during the times when it was popular to buy paintings like that. That was a huge thing. I mean, my stuff was on everything you can imagine. Green. I used to do the shirts for the zoos, and I did all that stuff. That's how I got the cage with all these exotic animals. So I'll tell you a neat one about zoos. I was doing some work for SeaWorld a few years back, and Jack Hanna was the special guest at SeaWorld.
Oh wow!
And Lloyd Conrad invited me. We became great. She was in charge of all the birds at SeaWorld, and she invited me that day, and I'd always wanted to meet him. And so I got to go backstage. There's about 20 of us backstage before he went out into the main arena where their shows are. And I bet there were a few thousand people there to see him that day. And I'm back in the backstage, and he's talking to all the animal trainers, what animals they were going to bring out, a little bit of stories and everything else. So when he got done talking to all the trainers, Lloyd says, "Why don't you go introduce yourself to him?" I went up to him, Jack, and we're in the backstage area, and I said, "Jack," I go, "I'm Chris Hoy," and I put my hand out there, my hand aside, and he says, "I know who you are." He goes, "I went to your website." He goes, "You're painting my dog for me." I went, "Okay." So he came out here. He was doing a world tour about his adventures all over the world. He had his TV shows and everything else regular every week on TV. And he was doing a show out here at the theater, and he was traveling, and and I knew it. I got a bunch of people in, and we got to go backstage. And a good friend of mine, David Jackson, had all these animals on the stage with Jack, and they're great friends and everything else. And he had lemurs and all kinds of neat animals. So after the show, my friends went with me. I think there was about 8 of us. We all got to go up and hold all these animals and everything else. Well, his wife was there. She was sitting in the audience, and he pointed it out that she was there. And I hadn't met him yet. I brought the finished at the theater, the McCollum Theater. And after he took her out, and she was like 5 rows in front of us. So after the show, I yelled down to her, "Susie." And I said, "Susie, I want you to stick around. I have something for you that your husband ordered." So she around. Because a lot of times, like you guys, we're out of here. We don't want to deal with anybody once the show's over with. So after everybody left the seating area, we're about the only ones left in there. I turned the painting around, and she starts bawling. My friends got to see it. So I bawling. Couldn't believe it was, they used to have the dog commercial with the food, and their dogs were the commercial and everything else with Jack and Susie and all that. Well, I ended up painting one of the dogs from that the commercials, and he had passed on. So when she saw now that you have to paint our other dog too, and I go, perfect. So Jack got in the lobby with a crowd of people signing books and posters of Jack and everything else. And we waited, and she waited with us, and we were gabbing up a storm there. So when he got done, I turned he totally went nuts. Hey, something's happening here on the screen.
Nope, it's fine.
You're fine.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
My battery.
What's that?
Got disconnected. Go ahead, keep going.
Oh, so anyway, that was, and so Jack and I became really good friends, and it's been really nice what a neat thing in your lifetime to be around some of these incredible. I got to meet Betty White. I mean, that's remarkable.
I love Betty White.
And what she's done with the animals, the same thing with Jack. And I didn't get to meet Steve Irwin, but a few years back, I went out and saw Terry and Robert and Bendy up at the zoo up there. And they let me in with the Komodo dragon, which was unbelievable. I won't do that again. But, and of course.
Why'd you do it in the first place? Why'd you do it in the first place?
You got to.
Because I am in probably Jack's fascinated. I've been with more animals hands-on than it's insane. I'm in probably the top 50 people in the history of the world of health. For 40 years, I've been going.
You're crazy. That's what you are.
Yes. I mean, I've had a hit in between rhinos, and some of the stuff I've done is just, and look how Steve ended up dying. It's so sad. But he's my hero. He brought such awareness to the animal world. It's just, and he was so funny about it. So, Mark, I love the one when his wife, first time he brought her to California, and he wanted to see a rattlesnake. And he reminds me of you in a lot of ways. And they went out to the desert and they found this hole, and he stuck his head in the hole. And I'm watching this on TV, and they knew there were rattlesnakes in there, and he popped his head in there, and he pops out and he goes, "We hit the jackpot. There's about 10 of them in there." He's popping his head in there. I just go, this guy's crazy,
No, I would stick my head in there.
Not his hand.
I would definitely want to stick my hand
He
in there.
stuck his hand in there.
His head.
His head or his hand?
His head. He popped
hand.
his head. No, head.
Head?
Spotted him. Yes, he looked in the
No, he's crazy. No. I'll look at an animal behind a fence, and that's it. No way. We were in Sedona, and we're walking around this resort that we like, this hotel area, and there was like skunks all over the place. And this one, of course, he's like, "I want to get real close," and I'm like, "No, I'm running the other way because I know what they do. If they get freaked out, they're gonna spray you, and then you're gonna stink for days." So no, I ran the other way. He took my phone and is over there chasing the skunk, trying to get up close and personal. I'm like, "You're nuts." No, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I run away from it. He runs towards it.
Well, I've held a lot of skunks in my days, and they have removed. And they have the softest belly you've ever seen. It's just unbelievable. And they really have an adorable little face. It's just cute.
Softest belly?
Softest belly.
You actually touched it?
Oh, I've held a lot of skunks.
Oh, no.
They're great pets. You just take this.
Yes, they are. The stinker. Yeah, the stinker, everybody has a problem with it. I get it. But they are a neat, incredible animal.
Yeah.
I think they're the prettiest animals with that stripe and everything else.
They're adorable.
Oh, yeah, they're beautiful from afar.
Pepe Le Pew.
I can look at it from afar and say, that is a beautiful animal, creature. Go away. Go hide in your little hole.
Yeah. And then I'll tell you my last, I can tell you so many adventure stories, but I pray at every trip, and I never talk religion or politics with people and all that stuff. I try to avoid it. And at every trip I go on before I go. And I've never had a bad trip in my life. And I do it very quietly and everything else. And I've done it a couple times that it was unbelievable. So I'd heard that you can go over to Antarctica and never even get off the ship because the waves are that bad. Here you go. It takes 2 days from Argentina to get over to the Antarctica. And I was on Jockus.
Yes.
Okay.
We've been there.
Yeah. We were there for 6 months, and it's pretty.
You can't. There's a little island, Falkland Islands.
Yes, it is. Yep.
You cannot. We were on a 6-month cruise.
Every 1 out of 3 times you'll get off.
Yeah, 1 out of 3. It's like sometimes the ship will go into to drop people off, and the weather changes, and then they're like, "Nope, get back on. We're leaving," because it's happened where they've gotten everybody off of the ship, and everybody gets stranded on land.
Yes.
And sometimes not sometimes. There's always more people on the cruise ship than there is that lived in the Falkland Islands.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been there, and the weather is very
penguins, everything in the 6 months.
What's that?
Did you get to see the penguins while you were there in the 6 months?
Oh yeah,
Yes, we did.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I never, all the years I've known you now, you've never told me this. I am fascinated.
We've seen a lot of things we haven't told you. I guess because we watch it so much, we don't think about it,
What do you mean? I posted pictures.
We did. Chris
pictures.
blocked us. Chris blocked us, remember? He said, "Oh, I know somebody's got 25 wives. You only have 1. 40 kids. Don't like them all."
Well, you can relate to this now. So I'm praying. We're going
I'll
over there.
I'll pictures next time I see you.
Yeah, I want to see them. I will go nuts. Right. So Mark, you could have water skied over there. It was all the way from Argentina. It was smooth all the way there. The ship captain actually got on the thing and thanked me. He heard I was he said he'd never seen it so smooth. So because
that must have been once in a lifetime, because not when we were on there.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Well, wait until you hear the story on the way back. So we actually plowed through the ice because it was so nice that we went to the Polish station, which is actually on land in the Antarctica. Very few people get to say in their lifetime that they touched land in the Antarctica, because the Antarctica doubles in size during the wintertime. So that's like making 2 of the United States. It grows that much ice and it melts during the months. Everything else, and you guys know about the 24-hour light and everything else. You get an hour, I think, of darkness. That was fascinating. Dark for only 1 hour, and it wasn't even dark. So we got over to the Polish state, and they were so excited to see us because we were the first people they'd seen in months. We dropped off a bunch of food to them and everything else, and we were talking about frisbees. Drew brought a frisbee, and we thought we were the first ones to ever throw a frisbee at the Antarctica, and somebody did it in the 50s or something like that. I was doing it at the Adventures Club up in LA. I was a guest speaker, and I was the youngest person there. They were fascinated that I hit all 7 continents before I was 30 years old. And they had me come speak to all these great adventurers. I didn't know the LA Times was there recording what I was saying. And they actually put it in the newspaper that the guy stood up and said, "No, we did it in the in the 50s," and I kind of got okay, because I was bragging. Took a frisbee there, and we were the first ones to throw a frisbee actually in the Antarctica, But on the deck, Bob Roberts asked me, he goes, "Chris, wouldn't it be cool to say we hit a storm?"
Oh wow!
And Bob's the one that I remember. He's the one I went to Canada with in 1978, and he's the reason I travel. I love that guy so much. And I said, that would be kind of cool. So, I went up above with him, and I prayed that night that a storm would hit.
Why?
It came. You guys have been to the Antarctica. We hit the 30-foot waves. It went over the ship. 90% of the ship was sick. Bob and I don't get seasick. Our other 3 friends were locked up in their rooms, sick as dogs. We're up there hooting and hollering. There's like 7 of us on the whole ship that were up there, and we're all locked down, and we're up where they're steering the ship. We had to hold on going up to the top level to get up there, and we're hooting on. And people were so mad at us because they found out that we wanted this storm. But you should have you guys can relate, hitting the front end of this huge ship to powering through this thing. But it lasted about 3 hours, and we cleared through it. It was unbelievable. Something I'll never forget. I wouldn't want to go through it again because it's crazy.
No,
But
I don't like waves. I don't like all that move. I get seasick, so no, I don't like any of that. He doesn't, but I do. So
you would have loved it, Mark. We were hooting and hollering like we were on roller coasters because you're getting thrown all over the place. So it was just amazing.
Well, if somebody wants to get in touch with you to do their portrait of their animal, how do they do that, Chris?
How do they get a hold of you?
Well, my website is boysgallery.com. Okay.
Boys or Boys Gallery?
Boys Gallery.
What is it?
Boys Gallery.
Ahoy.
Ahoy.
I thought you said boys. I like Boys Gallery. I can't. You got to be cool.
What a nut. He needs to have his ears, all that hair in his ears taken out.
And what's neat about going to the website, my friend's the one that hooked up the computer. He's with me right now, Amato. He's a genius on the computer. Amato helped me set up my website. It's really a neat website. But it does show pictures from some of these trips I was telling you about, which is
it does. No, your website is great. I was looking at it last night. I looked at it when you sent it to me, and then I re-looked at it last night. But somebody said, so your ultimate thrill is to chase skunks on a ship in the Antarctic with.
There you go. I opened the door the other day here in Palm Springs, and there was one 6 feet away from me, right in front of my door, looking at me. And it's weird how things like that happen because he wasn't even interested. He was almost like he was checking me out. Didn't turn his tail in. I really believe they know certain things. I mean, all the animal people out there say that about me, that train tigers and leopards. They say they've never met a guy because animals can, just like their dogs, they can tell that you have that aura about you. And they feeling and everything. If you're scared of an animal, they know it right away.
That is
I like this guy. I wanted to get closer. And I'm getting out of here. I'm like,
I know. So
I love it. I don't even mind the smell.
No, I hate the smell. Oh, the smell makes me sick.
That don't bother me.
No.
Yeah, that's how they've survived. Otherwise, they have no defense at all. They got a dinky little mouth.
They can keep their little odor to themselves. I want it.
Well, this is cool that you took some time to hang out with us and let the viewers and all that. I think I know somebody that would love to get the dog spayed. I forgot about it.
And I'll be out in September.
September?
In September.
Where?
Yeah, it's Las Vegas. I can't wait to see you.
We're coming out to Vegas in a few weeks.
We'll be here because we have no appointments till 2021, maybe 2022. So we're just kind of hanging out. It's not bad.
Yeah,
it's good. We just had our friend here from Orange County, and she came over and she's like, it's really weird. She goes, because usually when I see you guys, you're either at a fair or you're packing to go somewhere or you just meet up for lunch or something. We never get to sit down and talk because we did. We sat down, we had dinner, we talked, and then she came to our house and we sat down and chatted some more. So she was like, I kind of like this.
Yeah. And did you make them dinner?
No, we went out to dinner.
Went to sushi.
I'm never going out to dinner with you again. After looking at what you cook every week, I don't want to go to dinner. I want to have dinner at your house.
Well, next time you're here, I will cook something.
Oh, I would love that. There's nothing, though I've always enjoyed when we eat out, and all that. But,
well, you'll have to call us when you come in town for sure. And
look him up, look up his gallery, hoysgallery.com, look up his artwork. And if you want him to do a painting of your little mascot,
you have to send in your dog. Send your dog in live. He keeps her about a week and a half, then he'll send her back.
Yeah, they can write me on Facebook. It's got my Facebook page on there and all that kind of stuff. And I can get them that way and everything else. So, but do you want me to give a number? I can give them a phone number if you want.
Okay, if nobody listens to our broadcast anyway, it's not like it's going to hit anybody.
Look at that. Somebody just put, somebody that knows that I love to cook, he wrote, LOL, her chicken in a bag is the best.
Oh, that was unbelievable.
That's not a live chicken.
Friends that came over that night were very lucky. Believe me, you were getting that ready for friends that were coming over. Remember that.
Well, definitely keep in touch. Thank you for spending the time with us. I'm happy that you said yes, you would do it, even though you were like, I think you were stressing out because you were like, I can't get on my phone, and I don't have a computer, and I don't have internet. So my friend is over here fixing all this for me because I'm old school.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a page.
I'm glad I was on it. Well, you guys, real quick, I'm glad I was on it because now I found out I can get the update on my phone and I could easily do it on.
Oh, see, so we'll have to do this again.
Yes,
So,
and I'll do it on my phone. No, this has been fun this way. So
yes, it has been fun.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Chris. Definitely appreciate it. Your work is,
Awesome.
by far the best of the best, obviously,
thank you.
look at the credentials. And, well, it's a good thing your hand didn't get too much up. So that was a blessing. So,
And I can't wait to see that baby giraffe painting that you're working on.
I'll be posting it within a couple of weeks. We'll get to see it. So,
Okay. All right. Well,
Love
you have
you
a good day. We love you.
thanks, Chris. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. And we'll talk to you soon.
later.
okay. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Oh, my God. He is a
Oh,
nut.
wow.
If
He's
you do
awesome.
hire him, then what he'll do is he'll wrestle with you, too. He'll show you some wrestling moves.
No, he's not. Don't be making up stuff. No. If you do ever want a painting of your pet,
Any animal.
whatever your pet is, a snake, a rat, I don't
turtle?
care.
Any turtles?
A turtle.
We had a turtle one time and it ran away. Fast. Turtle was fast.
He didn't
I
like-
looked up.
I don't think he liked living here.
I don't
It was too
understand,
hot.
man. I looked up and 20 minutes later he's gone. I'm like, where'd he go? You see that thing ran off? He was like, I'm out of here. And he kept running. And it was so fast. And before you know it, I couldn't catch him.
No, he didn't want to stay here. He didn't want to live here.
You should have seen the snail behind him. Wait up.
Anyway, if you do ever
Check it out.
want to get your little mascot painted in a canvas, call Chris.
Well done.
He's awesome.
Share this
And
video with people too.
That's
So that way
right.
we can get
Share
it
this
out there.
video, and we will see you on Sunday. We will be doing the cooking this week because we'll be home.
Because we're home every week. Because
No, we
we're
weren't
home.
home last week. We
And
were
then,
not home.
yeah.
We didn't do the cooking last week.
I got to do this. I have a seminar. I'm going to.
What seminar?
Hypnosis seminar here in Vegas.
Oh, you're not going to be here then?
No.
Okay, well, maybe we won't be doing.
No,
cooking.
you are too. Who wants Connor to cook?
I will see what I'll make. So you guys share the video. Thank you for joining us.
We're doing a total transformation in 2 weeks.
Chris, thank you so much. Yes, Mark is
Total
doing
transformation,
his
2 weeks, virtual. And if you have any questions, you can check me out. Go to mindsetwithmark.com, book 20 minutes, and we'll be there. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. And make sure you share this.
Thanks.
Bye.
Do you want them to leave a message for you?